becoming 100% crystal clear that you and the other space programs that are in operation are connected and are deceiving the entire world. More and more people are waking up every single day, and we are now able to see right through you.
No man can fully grasp how far and how fast we have come. There is no strife, no prejudice, no national conflict in outer space as yet. Its hazards are hostile to us all. Its conquest deserves the best of all mankind. And its opportunity for peaceful cooperation may never come again.
That's it.
The mission's primary goal has been achieved. We're looking at a large single cell, biological. I'd hate to jump the gun, but I think it's time. We're looking at the first proof of life beyond Earth.
You finally a daddy? It's gonna be a big custody battle over this one.
That's beautiful.
You!
No, you're not going to.
Get your goddamn hand off! What are we gonna do? There's a man there! Call us out the way! And your poor
I have time. I've got to jump.
Cat, the tether won't reach.
I'm unclipping.
Cat?
No comments. I've got to jump.
We set sail. We ask God's blessing on the most hazardous and dangerous and greatest adventure on which man has ever embarked. This nation will continue to be a pioneer in the new frontier of space.
Yet more NASA, space, and alien life propaganda. They want to draw us into their lies. And, the trailer that you just saw, yes, there is symbolism that I could break down that many of you would have seen for yourself. But I believe the main message that they are trying to convey and put into our heads, into our minds, is that something is coming to get us and that they need to rescue us. And they want to condition the masses for something that is coming. That is what they want people to accept. And this movie is no exception. The plot is very simple. An international space crew discovers life on Mars. So that is what they want to get into our heads, that life is out there, that it is coming for us. I find it interesting that it says 6 astronauts aboard the space station study a sample collected from Mars that could provide evidence for extraterrestrial life on the red planet. This is the main thing that they want to get into our heads, that something from outer space, which is definitely fake, but something from outer space is coming to get us. And this is yet again the same kind of propaganda we saw in a movie that I did a video on not that long ago called The Space Between Us, where they wanted us to think of a human being born on Mars, travels to Earth for the first time, experiencing the wonders of the planet through fresh eyes. He embarks on an adventure with a street smart girl to discover how he came to be. And of course, more propaganda saying that the gravity of the Earth couldn't sustain him because the gravity on Mars is different, and all that kind of nonsense that we see in this propaganda. And we are constantly being shown movies about Mars. I find it quite fascinating. Back in 2015, you'll recall a movie called The Martian, which starred Matt Damon. Again, a blockbuster film, and it was about an astronaut who becomes stranded on Mars after his team assumes him dead and must rely on his ingenuity to find a way to signal to Earth that he is alive. You'll recall that he planted all kinds of potatoes and was able to sustain himself on the planet, and was quite the feat, or at least what it seemed in this movie. But again, all fictitious stuff. None of that is ever real or will ever happen.
They've got the flag up now, and you can.
The United States has shunned the Paris Climate Agreement, but it has big plans beyond planet Earth.
Beautiful, just beautiful.
President Trump wants to send American astronauts back to the moon and to places no man has ever gone before. Trump's first space policy directive orders NASA to refocus on human exploration and discovery, 45 years after its last Apollo mission to the moon. Trump said the initiative would create many jobs, and he hoped to see a lunar mission serve as a stepping stone to Mars.
We will not only plant our flag and leave our footprint, we will establish a foundation for an eventual mission to Mars and perhaps someday to many worlds beyond.
Another interesting movie back from 2013, not that long ago, and I actually watched recently myself, is called The Last Days on Mars, and was yet again about a group of astronaut explorers who succumb one by one to a mysterious and terrifying force while collecting specimens on Mars. And you will see the trailer for this later on in this video. But more propaganda to put into our heads that something is out there, that life is out there, and it's going to come and get us. Something is coming to get us. Again, another movie from the year 2000 called The Red Planet, yet again about astronauts going to Mars to save a dying Earth by searching Mars until the mission goes terribly awry. So what I find quite interesting is that even if you just Google movies about Mars, there are just tons of them. There is so much propaganda about this particular planet. And, you know, it comes to the point where I think we really need to start questioning these things as to why are we seeing so much of propaganda, whether it's about Mars or whether it's just about space in general. We are constantly being shown space propaganda, stuff about space. I even went to Wikipedia and found a list of movies just on Mars itself, and there is quite a lot of them. Some go back as far as 1924, 1918 even. There's another movie here I found interesting, Ghosts of Mars. I think I may have seen this, I'm not sure. I'm sure many of you have, but it's about on a mostly terraformed Mars, a team of police officers search for missing miners and discover that they have been possessed by spirits from an ancient Martian civilization. So to me, this is more programming for the spirits of the Nephilim, how they want to possess our bodies and take over. There are just so many films out there. Here you go. One from 1918 and even 1910, A Trip to Mars. Actually, they're both called the same thing. So for a long time, literally for over a century. There has been propaganda out there on the big screen regarding this particular planet, Mars. And I find it fascinating that NASA, who many believe is a real scientific agency, is promoting this. And why? I found an article from the Washington Post, this is from July 30th of 2016, why NASA still believes we might find life on Mars. So all of this propaganda is just out there to try and get it into our heads, and to make us believe that what NASA is doing is actually real. And you know, here in this article, it even talks about something that they found. They snatched a sheet and scrutinized this freshly inked graph. The thin line measuring radioactive carbon crept steadily upward, just as it always did when Levin performed the test with microbes on Earth. But this data came from tens of millions of miles away, where NASA's Viking lander was, or for the first time in history, conducting an experiment on the surface of Mars. Gil, that's life, his co-investigator Patricia Stratt exclaimed when she saw the first results come in. There was jubilation at JPL. Afterward, Levin said, he drove into the mountains above Los Angeles and sat on the ground and stared up into the night sky. So they really want us to think that they are about to find life on Mars. And of course, if you go to the NASA website, you will see much propaganda out there regarding their supposed journey to Mars. And of course, what do they give us? Good old CGI images, fake images, yet again more CGI, fake ball Earth nonsense. This is supposedly the ISS, so you know many people have questioned if the ISS is taking photos of the Earth, who the heck is taking photos of the ISS? Are there more, space stations or spaceships above the ISS that's taking this photograph of the ISS? Or if you realize that this is all CGI nonsense, then it all really begins to make sense. All right, again, yet more CGI BS that comes from NASA. This is what they do with all the money that they get from our tax dollars. And, if you keep going with NASA and their JPL website, they want us to believe that they're finding water. They want us to believe that there's as much water as Lake Superior. And we know that Lake Superior is pretty much the biggest of the 5 Great Lakes. And, this is what they want us to believe. NASA and mainstream science really want us to believe in these planets and the solar system and all of this propaganda. And they do that through these movies. They put these concepts into our heads. And, even though we can think that they're fictitious and just made up stories, but it's all to promote NASA's lie as to what the elites want us to believe. And, there's a lot of information on the internet that speaks about this. They even show how Devon Islands, which is a place in northern Canada, and if you look at this photo here, this is a normal photo of Devon Islands, but this is what NASA wants us to believe is a photo from Mars, which is basically identical to what you see on the Devon Islands.
The first time we arrived on Devon Island, we landed in this plane. The team was very small, with just 4 people. And I was just completely taken aback by how Mars-like the whole landscape was.
Especially when you're flying in, it looks just like a moon base. The land is desolate.
We had to take 7 flights to get here. It's a really tough undertaking, but it's extremely fascinating.
This is a place that is barren.
Vast, intimidating.
You're rambling through areas that are quite dangerous.
It's isolated and remote and rocky, just like the surface of Mars is.
I think someday there'll be humans walking on Mars, definitely.
My guess is that the first people who land on Mars will say something to the effect, "Oh wow, this looks just like Devon Island, where we trained."
There's even photos from Egypt that they have put in like a red filter to make it look like it's supposedly the red planet. But, yet again, just more propaganda, more lies. Anyone can take a filter and put it on any kind of, land photo of a landscape, and they can just change it into what could possibly look like a red planet. So this is really what is going on. And, what is quite fascinating and what we've seen before is that Mars just so happens to be the name of a Roman pagan god, or the god of war, second only to Jupiter in the Roman pantheon. Okay, so you can see that even Mars was considered the father of Romulus and Remus, the mythical twin founder of Rome. According to the story, their mother, the Vestal Virgin Rhea Silvia, was raped by Mars while she slept, and in her dream she had a vision where she dropped a hairpin to the ground, and from there sprang 2 twin trees. So we can see that Mars is very similar to Zeus, who raped Europa, and Mars seems to be no different than Zeus, where he went and raped this other one, Rhea Silvia. So again, all pagan god nonsense that is happening here. And you got a question as to why are all these supposed planets named after pagan deities? That should, cause you to scratch your head right there as to what is, and show you what's truly going on, because really it is all a deception. There are no such things as planets. They are all stars in the firmament. If you look at what the Bible says, you will clearly see that the Lord God Yahweh set up a firmament, a dome in the heavens. That is what our sky is. It is a vaulted dome that nobody can get through, and the sun, moon, and stars are inside that firmament.
Although we weren't able to shatter that highest, hardest glass ceiling this time, thanks to you, it's got about 18 million cracks in it.
Force field. It's a dome. We're at the edge of the arena.
It may be hard to see tonight, but we are all standing under a glass ceiling right now. And the light is shining through like never before, filling us all with the hope and the sure knowledge that the path will be a little easier next time.
It keeps us away from the second heaven, the waters above, and of course what is above that is the third heaven, the domain of Abba Yahweh, God himself. But the Leviathan, the dragon, and the fallen angels, that is where they dwell. Because right in Genesis 1, we can see the story of creation. Right from verse 6, God said, "Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters." NASA and mainstream science wants us to believe that the moon is only reflects the sun's light, when really, according to the Bible, the moon has its own light. It is self-illuminating. It is the lesser light. It is not as bright as the sun, but it is the lesser light.
Well, now, one thing, you have a theory about the moon, and we expect to be able to get observable facts about the moon fairly soon. What is your theory?
Well, it is by now rather more than a theory. 10 or 11 years ago, I stated to various scientists that the moon is not a piece of rock, but it is a plasma phenomenon, cosmic plasma, and that this fact will eventually be confirmed. I made certain predictions which were already confirmed in 1958, and the situation now is coming close to a complete confirmation.
What will be the result if you're proved to be correct in your theories?
The result will be profound and decisive, because it will give proof that a complete reinvestigation of the laws of nature is necessary. Because if the moon is a plasma, no man will ever land on it. The soft landing attempts will all fail. That means that the mass of the moon is less, far less than is currently assumed. It's in a different state of energy, and it has far less mass. That means there is no more explanation for the tides. If the moon, for example, had only 1,000th part of its current mass, then the tides would only be 2 inches high, under conventional theories, instead of sometimes 14 feet. And that means that if it is proved that the moon is a plasma, then all gravitational theories are out, and a new concept of the cosmos and of its laws has to be evolved.
Coming of the lawless one is according to the working of Satan, with all power, signs, and lying wonders, and with all unrighteous deception among those who perish, because they did not receive the love of the truth, that they might be saved. And for this reason God will send them strong delusion, that they should believe the lie, and that they may be condemned who did not believe in the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness. Just like as many who want to reject Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus the Christ, as their Messiah, they are going to end up getting the anti-Messiah or the Antichrist, because they've been rejecting the truth. Even all of these lies that we've been told about the ball earth and about evolution and climate change and all this kind of nonsense, it is all playing into the final great deception that is coming. Any of you remember the Independence Day resurgence movie that came out? So much, propaganda regarding aliens coming and, destroying the planet or trying to take over. Many of you remember show V that aired in the 80s, and of course the remake that was on TV not that long ago. They make them look like these beautiful creatures that come from space, but really what they are underneath are nothing more than reptilian devil beings that only want to kill humans. They want to eat humans. They want to control humanity, and they want to basically rule this world, because they are the fallen. They are the fallen angels. Basically, Lucifer, the dragon, and his minions, they are the ones that want to come. So you want to talk about alien life. If they want us to believe that there is life outside, out there somewhere, really all they're saying is that there is life out there, but it is the dragon and his fallen angels that are coming to deceive this world. Definitely there is life out there, because we know that the second heaven is out there, just as the Bible says that God created the dome to separate the waters above from the waters below. Of course, God's domain is up there as well, which we will get to see one day. Hallelujah, we will get to be in the Father's house. But, for now, the only life that is coming to get us is the dragon and his angels, because they are going to be cast out, just as Revelation 12 says that Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon and his angels did not prevail. They were thrown out of heaven, and they are coming very soon. This is also shown to us in a mini-series called Childhood's End, written by Arthur C. Clarke. It came out on Sci-Fi in 2015, I believe, and of course, yet again, more propaganda to show these beings coming in big ships. You'll see a ship like, there's one of their ships that came looking like a dragon itself, but this is the ship that Corellin, this dragon-like figure, came in. And of course, here's what he looks like. This basically like a Baphomet type figure. You've got even people taking pictures of him, of Corellin, the devil, with their cell phones, with their smart devices. So this is the way people behave. They're so blinded and are so close to what the truth is. And so this dragon is coming very, very soon. And funny how they always seem to come from space. They never come from anywhere else. They always seem to come from space in their ships. So this is what we are being shown constantly. Something is coming from space. Something is coming to get us. This is what they want to put into our hearts and minds, that something is coming. And as I've said before, we have come a long way since this 2001 movie, A Space Odyssey. I believe this came out in the 50s or 60s. Yet again, interestingly enough, written by Arthur C. Clarke, the same author who wrote Childhoods and also wrote 2001 Space Odyssey.
In this video, we'll consider the fact that if the footage were faked, someone had to fake it. And the best suspect is legendary director Stanley Kubrick. What's more, he may have left clues that expose the greatest hoax in history.
He's also the same one who had the idea for telecommunication satellites.
This article was released back in March 2019. According to the article, NASA has partnered with two companies, SoftBank and AeroVironment, to fly a high-altitude solar-powered drone that will be providing 5G internet. It's supposed to be flying over 65,000 feet. Now, the first question is, why would we need a solar-powered drone when we have satellites in space? I guess balloons like Google's Project Loon and high-altitude drones are the future of internet, so-called space communications. These are pictures from Google's Project Loon. Just look at that satellite dish pointed at a balloon. Now, only die-hard globe shills don't see a problem with that. But I did a little digging and discovered that AeroVironment has been flying these drones since 1981, if you can believe that. Remember, the first box of ISS parts was first allegedly orbiting the Earth at 17,000 miles per hour in November 2000. According to AeroVironment's website, inspired by the possibilities of their earlier manned solar-powered aircraft, AV, which is AeroVironment, began developing a solar-powered HALE UAV in 1981 to provide a continuous high-altitude platform. After making 9 successful test flights, the 99-foot wingspan Pathfinder was mothballed for a decade because of technology limits in the propulsion system at that time. The Pathfinder aircraft was then adopted by NASA's Environmental Research Aircraft and Sensor Technology program in 1994 to assist in the development of research platforms for the stratosphere. So, NASA was certainly involved with this drone project since 1994. I wonder why. But this is what I found very interesting. These high-altitude drones are referred to as satellites. And I quote, "Larger and more robust than the Pathfinder predecessors, Centurion incorporated many of the enabling technologies for an updated HALE UAV able to perform atmospheric satellite missions." Did you see that? The Centurion drone, which flew at 80,000 feet, was considered, though, as it was performing satellite missions. AeroVironment isn't some unknown company. This is a major NASA contractor. On this different page, AeroVironment referred to their drones as pseudo-satellites. But it seems that this NASA contractor unequivocally considers high-altitude drones as satellites. How is that possible? Now, watch this informative video by AeroVironment. In my opinion, I think the ISS is nothing more than a specialized, high-altitude, self-powered drone lit up like a Christmas tree, which is intermittently replaced by another similar ISS drone. NASA steals $53 million a day from the American taxpayers. With that much money, anything is possible.
the clouds. Up in the sky, bordered by the space, is the stratosphere. SoftBank's next-generation telecom system. High Altitude Platform Station, HAPS. With 78 meters of wingspan and 10 propellers, HAPS is a lightweight aircraft, flying at 110 kilometers per hour. The large wing surface is covered by solar panels. In the stratosphere, there is plenty of sunlight during daytime, and the weather is mild throughout the year with little change in the wind speed. This condition makes a long-term, stable flight possible. The aircraft keeps flying in a certain area for months, powered completely by the sun. One HAPS operates as a cell site with radio coverage of 200 kilometers in diameter, which delivers a telecom network serving the entire ground. Standby aircrafts are always ready to take off for maintenance and emergencies to offer constant, stable services to customers.
They are going to wow the world with their technology, but it's all for nothing because they are preparing the way for Antichrist, who will come as in the name of peace. He will act as if he loves everyone. He will act like he has all the answers, that he's going to solve the human problems and, provide all kinds of solutions supposedly, but he will be the destroyer. He will not give you peace. He will not give you satisfaction. He will not solve the world's problems. He will actually be the opposite. Everything that he claims to be, he will do the direct opposite of what he promises you.
No, we weren't able to shatter that highest, hardest glass ceiling this time. Thanks to you, it's got about 18 million cracks in it.
Up and you start to see the obvious. Life is just a lie and this whole world ain't what we thought it was. NASA's missions to the moon were never completed. They just filmed them in a room and people believe it. I used to wonder what it's like to be an astronaut. Now when I see them acting, I can't help but to laugh a lot. They give us cartoons and they claim that we live on a ball, but it's flat and it's not moving or spinning at all. Why you lying to us, man? That's something that we want to know. After that, you're gonna have to pack up all your stuff and go. History has been rewritten by winners of wars. The Jesuit order, Khazars, Freemasons, and more. They pulled the veil over our eyes, and it's time to awaken. Through organized indoctrination, our minds have been taken. It's time we take our power back and we rescue our people. The Vatican and the bankers are like Resident Evil. They may have had the greatest plan that was ever concocted, but Illuminati never thought that they'd ever be spotted. They're manufacturing reality all in our heads. They tell us if the earth is flat, then we'll fall off the edge. But if it is a spinning ball, we won't fall off it then. And gravity is our imaginary magic friend. Why is water always flat when unmanipulated? Why are pictures of the earth computer generated? Why you lying to us, man? That's something that we want to know. After that, you're gonna have to pack up all your stuff and go.